Hey, Shalom, Shalom. This is your brother Yashamai from the GMS Atlanta camp. All praises, all glory, and all honor to Yahweh, Basham, Yahushai, Basham, Mokakadash, and double honors to the elders and the apostles of Great Millstone who rule and teach well. This is going to be just a short message, grabbing a couple of precepts from Ezekiel 37, showing and proving beyond a reasonable doubt, which is, which is what they do in court cases, right? But we're going to prove beyond a reasonable doubt that Ezekiel 37, the Valley of Dry Bones, is only applies to Israel. And before we get in there, let's get a foundational scripture from Daniel 4. And we all know the background of Daniel 4. Daniel 4 is Nebuchadnezzar has a dream. He's a big tree. And I want to get a precept here, which is okay. Let's just get 10. Thus were the visions of my head in my bed I saw, and behold, a tree in the midst of the earth, and the height thereof was great. Now we know this tree to be a representation of Babylon the Great, of which King Nebuchadnezzar was a king of. So I just want to, verse 11, the tree grew and was strong, and the height thereof reached unto heaven, and the sight thereof to the end of all the earth. Right, because the Babylonian kingdom took over a lot of the known earth at that time. Okay, verse 12. Here's what I want to get. The leaves thereof were fair, and the fruit thereof much, and in it was meat for all. Right, because as Babylon grew, it was good for all of the nations around it. The beasts of the field dwell in the boughs thereof, and all flesh was fed on it. I've used this scripture here to prove that the other nations are considered beasts, and that's exactly what this shows you. Because it says right here, it says the fowls of the heaven dwell in the boughs, right? Because when Babylon took over the other nations, um, Babylon was providing for them, right? So the fowls of the heaven are a representation of the heathen nations. Okay, and then it says the leaves thereof were fair and the fruit thereof much. Now um, let me see, all right here. I know that we sometimes we can easily write off these heathen nations, but the truth is that sometimes these heathen nations did bring something to the table. We can't get away from that. Okay, now YASHARALAH, Prince of the Power, Israelites, so-called Black natives, and Hispanic may have been behind. Most of the time, were behind a lot of those inventions, those creations, but sometimes it was, sometimes these fucking heathens just got good ideas. What's that saying? A broken clock is wrong 2 times a day. And so the leaves thereof were fair, right? So you do a quick Google search, it says the accomplishments of historical Babylon. The ancient Babylonians made significant advancement in mathematics, astronomy, and law, including a base 60 number system, meticulously recording celestial events, and creating Hammurabi's code, a foundational legal system. So the leaves thereof were great, okay? But the point that I'm trying to prove you, the point that I'm trying to prove here is that the fowls of the heaven were the other nations. Now, I want to go down here to Ezekiel 37, the Valley of Dry Bones. And there's just 2 verses. Again, this is going to be a very short lesson. But it says right here, it says, okay, that's the one who caused bread. So I prophesied, okay, right here. Verse 7. So I prophesied as I was commanded, and as I prophesied, there was a noise. And behold, a shaking, and the bones came together, bone to his bone. Now, this is a precept that I wanted to get because what is the Valley of Dry Bones? The Valley of Dry Bones was a prophecy that Ezekiel had that had not come to pass yet. Why? Because the Valley of Dry Bones, matter of fact, let me go to my Bible. Matter of fact, because the valley of dry bones was a representation of things to come. Let's get a couple. Let's get some more foundational scriptures. So, lock here, bear with me. This is an in-transit message, like most of my messages are. But let's get Jeremiah 17 and 4. All right, I'm parked now, so I can pay more attention. And thou even thyself shalt discontinue from thine heritage that I gave thee, and I will cause thee to serve thine enemies in the land which thou knowest not. For ye have kindled a fire in mine anger, which shall burn forever. So the valley of dry bones, Ezekiel, is a representation of America, right? The valley is a low place, right? And where did we discontinue our heritage? Ultimately in Babylon, the valley of dry bones, the lowest place. Ephraim and Judah were oppressed together. Where is that at? The valley of dry bones goes down to America. But the point that I'm trying to prove here is this. Let's go back to Ezekiel 37. It says, so I prophesied as I was commanded, right? So the word is going out. The word went out. So Ezekiel got the word from Yahweh Bashem Yahweh Shah, and then he spoke the word, which that's what we're doing today. That's what we do when we put out these messages, when we go out to the streets, right? And as I prophesied, there was a noise, and behold, a shaking, and the bones came together, bone to his bone. Now, very quickly, let's get that word. Laban. Let's get Laban here. Laban, bone of my bone. KJV, somewhere in Genesis. There you go. Genesis 24 and 14. And Laban said to him, surely thou art my bone and my flesh. And he abode with him the space of a month. So what I'm showing here is this, is that as these bones are coming together, the bones show a relationship. Okay? So what have we got here? We've got the first scripture from Daniel 4, showing that the fowls of the heaven are other heathen nations. Now we have the valley of dry bones, showing that the valley is YASHARALAH. And then we have the bones coming together, right? Bone to his bone. And I've shown you in Genesis that bone to his bone is representative of a relationship, right? Okay. So now let me ask you this: for those archaeologists, for those excavators, if you're digging up bones, right? As these people dig up bones, can you have a pterodactyl bone per se, with a T-Rex bone per se, and then a human bone per se? Could you create that? The answer is no, right? Because if you did create that, what would you create? You would create a Frankenstein, an ugly beast. And the Most High creates perfect things, man. I think I even had that definition. This is just a lesson off the dome here. So I did a quick search. I said, what is a Frankenstein creation? So we all know the story about Frankenstein, right? He creates this ugly being, and then the ugly being ends up like destroying the town, and the people destroyed or something like that. I'm not too familiar with it, but let's just do a quick Google search here. It says the creation process. The novel doesn't explicitly detail how Frankenstein brings a creature to life, but it's implied that he used scientific principles and possible electricity. So in this novel of Frankenstein, you have this doctor who made a being, and even in this story of Frankenstein, he used the same bones, right? He used bones of a human. He used electricity. What I'm saying is this: is that for a body to be put together perfectly, the body has to be related. And so, why did I get the precepts in Daniel 4? Because just as the Most High refers to these heathen nations as beasts of the field, fowls of the heaven, to be exact, how can you put a bird bone with a human bone, right? And then expect to have something come out perfect? You can't. So this is further proof that for the perfect body to come together, as mentioned in Ezekiel 37, there had to be a relationship. And that's why I brought up Genesis, because bone of my bone shows a relationship. And so this is further proof, just a couple quick precepts to show that the valley of dry bones was only for YASHARALAH. It was not meant for anybody else. Because there's a lot of Christian churches that go into Ezekiel 37 and they will say, were those dry bones? No, 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 no. Dry bones are representative of YASHARALAH in his dead state. Matter of fact, let's get a quick precept here, and then we're going to close with that. Proverbs 21:16. The man that wanders out of the way of the understanding shall remain in the congregation of the dead. See, without this understanding, we're dead. And that's exactly what the valley of bones was. The valley was the low place. The valley was Babylon, America. Ephraim and Judah were oppressed together. And we had wandered out of the way of understanding, right? Because Revelation 11 says that we would prophesy for 3.5 years in sackcloth. Let's see, Revelation 11 verse 3, and I will give power to my two witnesses, that's the northern and the southern kingdom, and they shall prophesy 1,260 days, cloth in sackcloth. Now, that's us in our dead state, that we would discontinue from our heritage, man. So that's pretty much it, man. Why is it that in the novel of Frankenstein, even in a make-believe novel, at least that fake scientist stuck to the same bones, stuck to the same flesh, and only inserted electricity, but yet you Christians will try to put a bird skeleton with a human skeleton and then try to say that it's a perfect creation. No. The Valley of Dry Bones is YASHARALAH. And last precept I'll give you. It says, vision. Okay. I don't know if you want to shall place you in the land. The word of the Lord came among us, man, and join them into another. Prophesied to me. So, like it. It says, verse 12. Let's go get it. No, it's somewhere in there. Yeah, this is it right here. It says, right here it says, therefore prophesy and say unto them, thus saith the Lord Yahweh Shai, behold, all my people, I will open your graves and cause you to come up out of your graves. Now, the graves is death. We just lined it up with Proverbs 21:16, and bring you into the land of Israel. The valley of dry bones is Israel, man. Salakia for looking for that scripture, but that's it, man. You can't put bones from another body and create a perfect thing. You can't do it. I hope this lesson has been edifying. Until the next one, I say shalom.